is Diane Carr, and I've been an artist for maybe about 30 years. I have been an artist in Detroit all of these years until about 15 years ago when I moved up north. So I lived in Detroit, and I had a big warehouse space downtown in Detroit. And in Detroit I taught at different colleges and university. I taught at Wayne State for a while. And now I'm living up north in the woods and on a lake. It's very much my paradise. And I have a studio that we built right next to the house. I love my life. First of all, I make no drawings or models ahead of time. I really want to be surprised. I believe that the creative process for me will happen in the working process. It's not going to happen with any grand scheme, big ideas that I have. It's really going to happen in the work itself. So what I do is I start off with a geometric form and I cut metal, a thin sheet of aluminum, and I cut it into, it's maybe a circle or a half circle, and I start cutting lines, rhythmic lines, repetitious rhythmic lines. And it's a pattern of lines, and it's just two-dimensional. I'm cutting these strips of metal, and I actually leave a spine of the metal so the strips will attach to the spine. And at the end, I have this lovely form on the floor. It's just a two-dimensional form. And then I start taking it, twisting it, wrapping it, curving it, clipping it, hanging it up, looking at it, photographing it, taking it down, taking the clips off, re-wrapping, trying a different form. And what I am doing at this point is trying to find a form, a three-dimensional form that will speak to me. And it's quite a chaotic process, and sometimes I feel like I'm fighting with it, sometimes I'm struggling, sometimes I think I need a miracle to get this into a form that I'm going to like. And this could go on for days, maybe a week, and sometimes I think, oh, it's just not going to happen. After all my cutting, it's not going to happen. And then suddenly, maybe I've gone to bed, and with fresh eyes I come back in and I start the process of trying to find the form it should be. And suddenly, there it is. I've got it clipped, and it's a form that resonates with me, and I fall in love. I say, you're the one, this is it. This is the one I want to work on. It just clicks. I hang it up, I look at it, it's silver, and I walk around it, I look at it from all sides, I step back, and it keeps speaking. It's speaking something to me. I'm not sure what, but I do know I'm loving it. And at that point, I fasten it with rivets, and then there's the whole other process of painting. I hang it up, and I keep looking at it. Sometimes colors or feelings of what the piece is going to be about will start to come. It's all my intuitions and feelers are out there. I'm asking it, what do you want to be? What colors do you want to be? I get out little sheets of metal and I do practice colors. I've developed a painting technique where there are thin washes of paint. It's a thin wash, and then I sprinkle sand on the wash, and it kind of disperses the paint, and paint will coagulate around little grains of sand. And when it's dry, I often put another coat of thin paint on it. So creates kind of a luminous surface. A little bit of the silver of the metal is shining through, and I don't want to be heavy-handed, and I don't want to have thick, gooey paint, and I don't want it to have brush strokes. I really want it to be something luminous, kind of like water, or sand, or rock, or something that's shimmering. Water is a good example of that. And so then I do lots of color practices, and then sooner or later I begin to see a color that I think will work with that particular form, and then I start painting the form. It never on the form turns out like my little experiments, because you can imagine the strips and the lines curve and wrap around, and I'm painting these strips. Actually, my whole body is pretty contorted, getting inside and outside trying to paint the strips, and the paint is kind of running, and I'm sprinkling sand, and I'm working fast, and I'm hardly breathing. I'm so focused. I'm just concentrated on being in the moment and with this paint. A little too much water, a little too much paint, a little too much sand, it's not going to work. So it's a sensitivity of touch that I've developed, and I work really fast and hard with it. And by the time I finish painting it, I hang it up, and I'm just amazed.